Rob, it is good to see you. I say this to every guest, but I am genuinely excited to have this conversation we're going to have. How are you, man?
I am great, and I'm excited to see you, Amos. This is exciting for me. I've been watching you for like a long time, which feels kind of weird. Like when you tell somebody like you've been watching them, like you're some kind of creeper, like stalking them. It's not like that. I promise. I love the work
Well,
you do.
well,
That's all.
you do live. I found out 2 hours away, so you might be
Yeah.
outside of my window right
I,
now, and that might be a
I
fake background.
you don't need to tell everybody my secrets as soon as we start, man.
Listen, as you know, I live and breathe customer service and contact centers. I want to talk to you about the state of customer service, and I'm going to obviously not shock you, but
No.
just in case, ACSI ratings for years it's been going in the right direction all the way till about 2018. As we are having this conversation, as of the last print, we have given back all of the gains. We're back to 2004. Like you can go on. But the area I really want to talk to you about today is in the data collection of this. So companies decide, you know what? People are not happy. Let's do surveys. Well, first off, they've got the airport bathrooms covered, right? Like, apparently there was a
Yeah.
meeting. Were you at the meeting, Rob, where they decided right after you use the bathroom, the next step you should do is touch something? Were you in the room? You didn't,
Of
my
course,
invite
I was in
gets,
the room. This was one of
okay.
my brilliant ideas. I was like, well,
Let's,
Amos,
let's,
I've been in a bathroom where there was an ashtray next to a urinal. So I
oh,
figure, like, just put a survey QR code.
exactly. That's what we need. And it does seem like after every interaction, I get, how did this go? I will save you my horror stories. You've got yours, but one of the more recent ones I got was a canceled flight. And the survey was how did you enjoy the flight, or some some version of this, right? so so let's start here. We've been doing this whole customer feedback thing for a while. They call it VOC, whatever it's called. Is this whole thing just a giant waste of time?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, like, here's the thing.
yeah.
We, at this point, hate surveys. We hate
Yes,
surveys.
everyone
We
does.
want to be
Yep.
heard, but we hate surveys. But we've gotten to this place where it's weird. Like, there are all these 5-star surveys, right? You're asked
Oh
to
yeah.
rate everything. You're asked when you leave the grocery store, when you leave Walmart. You're asked about your flight. You're asked when you get your car serviced. You're asked about literally just about everything. And these ratings all rely on the experience and the expectations of the people that we're asking things for. So I'm going to give you just a quick example. Hotels.
Yeah.
AAA has been doing, they call it diamond ratings, right? But it's the same scale, right? It's 0 to 5. They've been doing this for nearly 100 years. They've been rating hotels, and they have a professional go into these hotels and they identify all the amenities, how clean it is, et cetera, et cetera. It's so that you have an idea of what to expect from a
Right.
particular hotel. Just north of you, on the outer loop of Oklahoma City, there's a Country Inn and Suites by Radisson. Any guess as to what the Google star rating out of 5 that was yesterday?
You said Country Inn.
Country Inn and Suites by
I'll gi-
Radisson.
I'll give it a 3, solid 3.
Okay, fair. TripAdvisor would agree with you. Google reviewers rated it a 4.1.
Woo.
Amos, it's a 2-star hotel. It is. It's 2-star. Like, this is not the place where you go, all right, my 25th anniversary is coming up. I'm going to plan something special with my spouse. We're going to have a special night at a hotel. It's like, I'm not trying to badmouth Radisson or the Country Inn and Suites. I'm sure it's a fine place to stay.
Right.
but it is not a 4-star hotel, right? A 4-star hotel is maybe not the most luxurious, but it's really, really, really nice. And
Right.
so, like, we lose the meaning in these ratings because we've crowdsourced everything. We're saying, well, everybody gets a voice, but everybody's expectations and experiences are different. And so what's a 4-star hotel to one person who maybe has never stepped foot inside an actual 4-star hotel, they go, oh, well, this is great. 5 stars. Boom. And that doesn't help any of us understand what it is that we're going to get when we're rating everything. So I think those surveys are they're problematic,
Th-
and we're not listening.
and therein, and that's the part that I want to also double click into is, and to your point about star ratings losing all meanings, I have the unfortunate deal of running an Airbnb or trying to. Oh my gosh. I do not recommend this. If your spouse brings up this idea, tell her no. Get a passive index fund. But in that world, exactly the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
5 is a 3. So there's this confusing, bizarre world where we've broken that system. But back to your point, which I agree with, customers we still need to hear how they feel. We need that data. So I want to hear a little bit about, for I think over a decade now, remember big data? I think we forgot big data. We've moved on.
Oh,
Okay, that was
big
big
data
data.
is so early
Like,
2000s.
who cares? Then it was analytics for a while, and then blockchain. Let's not go into the graveyard of tech. We're not this show. Maybe another show. But what I heard about speech analytics, and I remember I'm just using one part of it, speech analytics, because we tend to have these things. This is 2007. I worked for Coca-Cola at the time. And the basic premise was, hey, look, we don't need to go do a whole lot of work. We've got all these interactions where customers are constantly telling us stuff. They're telling us, forget your surveys. You could just watch, listen, and they will tell you right there, did I resolve all of your issues today? No, ma'am, you did not. Or I plan on canceling my deal. Like all the things are there. But for whatever reason, I thought what was going to happen, Rob, I don't know about you, was that eventually we'll just go, who gives a shit about surveys and this small sample size that continues to reduce? We're going to pay attention to what is actually happening. What happened, or did I misinterpret where we're going? Because it's now been, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. How many years is that now? 17
Yeah.
years? Holy shit.
Yeah, it's
And
been a long time.
we're still doing surveys.
So here's the thing. When I was early on, about, I don't know, 7 years ago, I had a quality team, a team of analysts, right?
Yeah.
And so they're listening to phone calls. I had 5 people that reported to me. All they did was listen to phone calls every day, score them. And even then I recognized, like, we're missing, like, the data we're getting back is not statistically valid because we're getting such a small sample size. And so I looked into speech analytics as a solution for quality. Here's the problem at that time. The transcriptions were so bad, Amos. They were so bad that literally maybe you would get 60% accuracy. And that was with someone who had a really great speaking voice, good diction, good pronunciation. Like, it was the best you could ask for from a speech sample, but the transcription was bad, right? And contact centers have additional challenge, right? You're not in a perfect environment, right? So somebody's got the mic and it's like up here when they're talking because they put you on hold to ask a question and they forgot to put it back down. You can't hear anything. Or the customers get all this background noise, whatever. They're watching Jerry Springer. I guess that's not a thing anymore, but you know what I'm saying, right? And I gave up on speech analytics at that time. I was like, I can't use this. Like, the idea sounds great, but then I see the reality and I gave up. It wasn't until a few years ago that I changed my mind because the transcription has gotten so much better and our ability to extract things from those transcriptions is also a lot better. So I think some companies, maybe like me, had an early bad experience. Maybe they even went and implemented it, right? Maybe they actually bought that technology and then went, this is crap. I can't use this. And so they were just like, well, we'll get our surveys. And the other thing, quite honestly, is, look, people need numbers. They need numbers to report. They need numbers to make them look like the hero. They need numbers. Numbers. You know what surveys deliver? Numbers. They are easy to quantify. Hey, our CSAT is up. Our NPS is up. We are good. And it's not about necessarily improving customer experience. It's about numbers. I know. I just spit the truth, man.
Send your emails and concerns to Rob. But you're not wrong. I'm going to double down on that. Yeah. I mean, there's this, I'm glad more and more people, the bravery of our industry are saying, maybe this whole NPS then, they're coming out now. And let me add the voice to it. You name it. NPS, effort score, pick your score du jour. It's not the methodology that's the problem. I'm going to double down on what Rob said. It's the fact that no matter how insignificant, you need to go out to the world and tell someone your bonus depends on it, that you are at whatever percentage number it is, and you do not care whether you're surveying 0.0001% of your customers or not. Like, the machine operates on the number. And so the argument about let's trade out this score for one score misses the whole point of, as long as it's about a score, I'm not interested in your NPS score. Stop sharing it with me. Right? Because the source is you survey an insignificant amount of people, and based on that, you make some correlation. Doesn't matter what the score is.
And you do the wrong people at the wrong time. Like, yes. I supported one of the big telcos when they implemented transactional NPS. And like, the idea behind NPS, and if you do it right, can tell you important things. But the idea behind NPS isn't, I ask every single customer every time we talk to me, would you be willing to recommend? Like, it's just like your flight experience.
Exactly. And the question is also heavy. It's, will you marry me after this first date? Right? Like, will you recommend us to your friends and family? Whoa! Right? Like, based on the conversation with, like, let's calm down. I talked to this nice lady.
Slow your roll. I just signed up. I haven't even used it yet, and you want to know if I'll recommend you? What?
Oh, we can dwell on that for a while. Let me move on to, we've got to talk AI, because I think they passed a law that two people cannot gather in a room without discussing AI. I think they lock you up, take you to Guantanamo Bay. So we've got to talk AI. But on a serious note, it seems like we've got this new tool, and we've decided our brand new idea on how to use this technology is, wait for it, chatbots. Are you seeing anything else? That seems to be where the imagination seems to stop.
Here's the thing. There are great use cases, and almost none of them are customer facing. Like, look, feel free, go ahead. Some of them could be, and I've seen some interesting use cases, right? So if you
Yeah.
support a global customer base with lots of languages, I can see how this makes things easier, because it's hard if you need to support 30 languages, like that's hard to do from a contact center point of view. But that's like the slice of companies that need to do that is really small. What you can do, though, is create a better agent experience, a better
Hallelujah.
supervisor experience, deliver better insights. And, one of my favorite things is automating the QA process, right? I mean, I just
Oh,
talked about QA. Like,
yeah.
we've got people
Yeah.
listening to calls and we're scoring, but we hardly touch any calls. And really, here's the thing. QA should not be about just giving a score. QA should be about identifying strengths and opportunities. So I, as a supervisor with a team of agents, can go, okay, well, Amos, I notice that when you get this particular call type, you really struggle with overcoming objections. Let's spend some time practicing that and work on that so that you can be more successful. So that Amos, then when he gets that call type, is like, oh, I got this, right? I can make this happen. And we can do that. There are all kinds of solutions that do that. There are also, like, after call work, like, let's just
Yeah.
summarize this, right? AI can actually do a really good job summarizing it. When you're not trying to like let the customer go all prompt crazy to try and deliver something that is completely unexpected, that is going to be a social media buzz. Like, don't do that. But can you use it to make things easier on your agents, to help them be better at their job? Yes, you can do.
I I wholeheartedly agree with all of that. And I'll just say one of the things that came to mind for me was there are these neglected roles in this ecosystem, contact centers, service, whatever you want to call. Every company wants to go straight to the end customer, and they forget customer number one, the internal service agent. That's where you should start. But even within that subset, maybe some might remember, okay, yeah, the agent, let's give them a desktop. But then there are these workforce management folks, people who are in charge of knowledge, the QA and QM people you just mentioned. And apologies to anyone who's doing that job. Some of those tasks are some of the most soul-sucking jobs there are. Not the purpose of the job itself, but the finding the call to listen to, the putting the like or workforce management, schedule optimization, and doing any of that, right? Like, again, a little expand your horizon here. It's like there is this thirst that we thought we had conquered from the 90s when I got into this space of how can I, it's like companies really, really, really hate having contact center agents. I this is my theory of the case. Like there is no technology process that comes in that someone's first idea is how do we eliminate these people? Like it's the
You're so
first
right.
there's no tool that arrives, and then what you end up doing is frustrating the end customer because you end up in your way to eliminate the thing, you go put whatever that thing is, you go expose it to the world, and then you create this vicious cycle. You know why this industry, for all the dooms, continues to grow and more people continue to work in the contact center? It's because of this shit. It's because you keep trying to eliminate it with these blunt instruments, which just gets customers to go, F that, get me a human. Like, you're in
Uh-huh.
this. I think we could actually have significantly less people doing this and doing other things. But the ironic way of doing this is it's the other way. Like when you make the internal thing so simple and you reduce it, you're not going to need 500 people doing that kind of job, and you have to read there. But if right? Like we just keep going straight to skipping the internal person. Let me go put this thing in front of them, and we go around the circle. I'm glad to hear like someone else is thinking about something other than chatbot, because if I see another one, my gosh.
I mean, here's the other thing. Like, if companies really want to reduce the contact center headcount, and I get it, right? It's an expense, but you need people ultimately to answer the questions. But if you want to shrink that so that you can be more cost effective, the answer isn't how can I deflect all these different types of interactions. The answer is how do I make my processes and my experience so much better that people don't have issues that they need to call for, right?
Yep.
If I have a better website design, a better ordering process, I set better expectations, I make, right, all of these things. A lot of phone calls, quite honestly, are just about misaligned expectations. The
That's it.
customer thinks this, you think this, and then they're not the same. And so they call in. They're like, well, how come my thing isn't here yet? And it's like, oh, well, we have processing time. And they're like, well, but I put express shipping. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, the shipping is express, but
The processing. Maybe one day you will. That should have been my question to you. I've always wondered what the handling is in the process and handling when I order something. Like, what is that fee all about? But one of life's mysteries that maybe one day we will get gets to the bottom of. I get the processing. I think. I think it's the. I think. But the handling, is it the guy or the woman who picks up the
I
box
think
and
younger listeners / viewers may not understand
I've
shipping and
lost.
handling the way that you and I
I have
understand.
I have lost everyone born in the 90s or what have you. This is going to have to be an inside joke. I want to move on to a couple of places. First off, let me ask you a question. What purchase under $50 has had the most impact on your life? That's a little too dramatic. Under $50 and you're like, this is a good purchase. That was good.
It is dramatic. I will say the first thought that came to my mind, which was right at $50, was my first Costco membership. But
Oh, look
it's,
at this guy bragging on my show.
I mean, look, some people know I'm a fan, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm actually going to talk
Okay.
about something entirely different that I think probably had a bigger impact. And it kind of seems a little ridiculous, but I thought a lot about this question because you gave me this one ahead of time. Thankfully, if you had just asked me this on the fly, I would have been lost. I would have had a horrible answer. Many years ago, when I was a young man, I was at the mall in a clothing store and I saw this really cool shirt that I really wanted. It was a dress shirt. But that shirt had French cuffs on it. And I had never had French cuffs before. And that meant I needed to get a pair of cufflinks. I really liked wearing that shirt a lot. And throughout my life, I started buying more cufflinks and more French cuff shirts, and I wore them almost exclusively. And I think even when I got into the contact center business, I was coming off of being in the wholesale mortgage lending world. This was after 2008, right? I thought I had things made, and my career went to hell in a handbasket really quickly.
Yep.
But I came into the contact center environment and, I was wearing French cuffs like all the time, right? And a tie. And that was abnormal, let's just say, in that environment. And I think it's not the sole reason, right? But sometimes opportunities are about standing out, about drawing attention to yourself. And I think I drew attention to myself with that particular wardrobe choice. It was something that was unique. At that contact center, I got a lot of different opportunities, some really, really cool opportunities. And I think, right, people noticed that. Maybe they didn't.
No,
Maybe
standing
I'm
out.
completely wrong, but I feel like that was a purchase that led to a series of other purchases that may have influenced my career in
That's
a
beautiful.
way that is hard to.
That's beautiful. You mentioned Costco and French cuffs. I don't know what that Venn diagram is, but I know you love Costco. I don't know a lot about you, but I've heard you mention them. Uh, I struggle to get people to tell me brands they love when it comes to customer experience or particular service. Outside of Costco, what's another brand you admire and you go, they get a lot of things right?
I'll give you two. One of them is probably going to be a little bit obvious to people who are watching this. I'm a big fan of Lego, and I'm a big fan of Lego customer experience. Like their customer service is amazing. Why? Because they empower their people. If you need to call because you're missing like a piece or your sticker sheet got messed up and you need a replacement, like they are awesome about taking care of you and getting you really what you paid for. Sometimes they might even throw in a little bonus, but they're just like they enjoy their job, and it shows if you have to contact them. Luckily, I don't have to contact them very often. But another that I'll tell you that I think offers, and I don't shop there much anymore, but I did for a long time in my youth when I had a little bit less disposable income. IKEA. IKEA
Yeah.
has this really great experience, and they've set up for anyone that's not been to an IKEA location, they tell a story with all of their furniture. It's not just, hey, here's this piece of furniture. Like, no, here's this room, right? It's a
Yeah.
bedroom. And here's how you can create a space that has this vibe. Or here's a kitchen and how you can create a kitchen that has this kind of functionality. Like everything they do is helping you imagine their
Right.
stuff in your
In your
place.
in
And
your
it's
space.
brilliant.
I agree. I will say, been to IKEA twice. My first experience in IKEA, for those who haven't been, you go in and it's a maze, and you
Gotta
can't
follow
get
the
out.
arrows.
You can't get out. You just gotta keep going. And at first, it
That's
was
not
awesome.
true. There are shortcuts.
So you keep going, and at first it was awesome, as Rob said. Halfway through, I'm like, I would like some lunch. And then, you know what? Lunch showed up halfway through. There's a giant, there's a, there's a giant food court. I do remember one of the highlights of the experience is leaving the store. I started a high five chain with a bunch of men I didn't know. Like, woo, we made it. And like it was awesome. Like we still tell the story today. Like all these men with their wives and their deal, and we're all like, "Oh my gosh, we got on the other end." No, they get it right. So on your way out, I wanna ask you a tough question. What over the next year, 18 months, what makes you optimistic and pessimistic, or pessimistic over the next 18 months in our business?
Well, I mean, I think we already talked about the rule of two when it comes to AI, right? You have two people discuss AI. I feel like it's the rule of two sides of the coin with AI as well, because it's both of those for me. AI is the answer. It's incredibly optimistic because of all of the cool things that we can accomplish and the ways that it will be able to help people do better at their job.
Hmm.
The kind of new things that will come out of it But I'm also pessimistic. I'm pessimistic because people are going to try and use it in the wrong ways. Like we talked, putting it in customer facing chatbots, like, please, can we stop? But there's also a more, I think, important aspect of AI, and that's, right, threat actors when it comes to security, when it comes to politics, when it comes to all kinds of things. It's like any other tool, right? You can use it for good or you can use it for bad. And we're going to see both. And the bad stuff makes me a little pessimistic for sure. And we're already seeing it like within politics. It doesn't really matter which side of the fence that you're on from a political stance. We're seeing AI hop into that, and that's scary. It's really scary.
I agree. It's coming to a service center near you for sure. Rob, this has been so fantastic. I cannot wait for folks at home to hear this conversation. We will put Rob's contact information in the show notes, and send your happy emails to me, your angry ones to Rob. Rob, this has been awesome. I cannot wait to do this again with you, man.
Amos, I appreciate it. The next time we do it, we'll just do it in person. We can meet up and, like, I don't know.
Well, you are from Wichita. You guys don't like to drive 20 minutes to the other side of of the same city.
Yeah,
So
I can't be bothered to drive all the way to you. That's way too far.
That's not gonna happen. So we'll find somewhere in between. This has been awesome, man. Looking forward to chatting with you again soon. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Amos.
You've been listening to an Amos Talks production.